I have been saying that all week long, the nature gods have been purifying our grounds for this event. And then we had glorious day today to celebrate this momentous occasion that we have been waiting for such a long time. Our theme for this year and for this event in particular is Arigato no kokoro. Every crane strand that you see, you'll see something hanging below it, and it says Arigato no kokoro, which means thankful heart, mind, and spirit. And that's certainly what we are. We are very thankful. We're very grateful for all of you, for the people behind us here, because this is an incredible opportunity for Japan House's future. And I thank you very, very much for your support. We would like to begin this ceremony with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and I've asked my education associate, Diana, to read it. So if you could, Diana.
Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to begin today by recognizing and acknowledging that we are on the lands of the Peoria, Kaskaskia, Piankashaw, Wea, Miami, Muscatan, Odawa, Sauk, Meskwaki, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Ojibwe, and Chickasaw nations. These lands were the traditional territory of these native nations prior to their forced removal. These lands continue to carry the stories of these nations and their struggles for survival and identity. As a land-grant institution, the University of Illinois has a particular responsibility to acknowledge the peoples of these lands, as well as the histories of dispossession that have allowed for the growth of this institution for the past 150 years. We are also obligated to reflect on and actively address these histories and the role that this university has placed in shaping them. This acknowledgement and the centering of Native peoples is a start as we move forward for the next 150 years.
Thank you, Diana. At Japan House, we like to use the word goen. Gunji Sensei has shared this word with us many times, and it means fortuitous encounters. And planning this event, we wanted to start the ceremony with gusto and energy. We wanted this to be an energetic and lively event. And I discussed with my team the possibility of having a band play. And so Michael Darin, our education experience coordinator, reached out to our alma mater. He and I both went to Monticello High School, and he found out that the marching sages who are standing right over there had decided, not with us, but had decided on their own to have a theme for their performances of 1,000 cranes. Talk about fortuitous, right? So after we had the great pleasure of sharing tea with them, they have 3 female drum majors, yay, girl power, and then 2 band leaders that are also women, and we were just so pleased to have them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, sages. It was wonderful, and we are just delighted that all of you came. If you notice, they're all wearing Arigato no Kokoro t-shirts, and so we appreciate you coming all this way and celebrating with us. I am very pleased to introduce to you the 20th president of the University of Illinois System, who we at Japan House like to fondly refer to as our neighbor. He lives right there. President Timothy L. Killeen. Under President Killeen's leadership, he has guided all 3 campuses to a record high enrollment, expanded the hiring of distinguished faculty, and has initiated the largest fundraising campaign with a goal of $3.1 billion. We are honored that he is here today to participate in the celebration of the Ogura-Sato Annex.
Thank you, Director Gunji-Ballsrud, for your comments. And isn't it wonderful to see each other and to be together on such an electric afternoon? And I've got 3 words for the wonderful Monticello High School, just 3 words. University of Illinois are the words. Thank you so much for your wonderful. This is an exciting development. This annex will double the size of the current Japan House, which opened in 1998. It will allow our esteemed cultural center to expand programs and provide much needed classroom, meeting, and library space. And it's made possible through the generosity of Japan House founder, Professor Shozo Sato and his family. Professor Sato. Japan House Director Jennifer Gunji-Ballsrud said that the ceremony is an opportunity to celebrate Professor Sato and his legacy. It all started with him. He founded the original Japan House and has given financially, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually to support the mission to share Japanese arts and culture with students, the campus, the community, and me. Japan House promotes the cultural awareness that is now perhaps more important than ever before, fostering the spirit of understanding and friendship that we hope every graduate from our university system carries with them into the world. And every morning, or most mornings during the pandemic, I've jogged through this beautiful area in the Arboretum, not every day, and jogging is an overestimate of what it looked like, I can assure you that. But seeing the mist rise from the lake, seeing the beautiful red skies in the morning, and just feeling the spirit and the vibrations of this place have carried me personally through the pandemic. And I know you have similar stories to say about your connection and relationship with this really important and seminal site. So thank you for allowing me to participate in this. And I would like now to introduce my colleague, Provost Andreas Cangellaris, for a few comments.
Thank you very much, President Killeen, and Jennifer. Thank you so much for making this possible today. Such a great celebration today. There's so much to celebrate, but I would like to start with Professor Sato because he reminds us how important it is, the individual who takes their passion, their beliefs, and share them in ways that others not only engage with them and appreciate what it is that they bring to them, but also take them upon themselves to make them better. Professor Sato, it is a pleasure to be here to celebrate with you. I would like to spend a few minutes to reflect on what it is that this cultural immersion that the Japan House has been offering to our students and the community means to the University of Illinois in the middle of the cornfields of Illinois. It means so much. We in the state of Illinois, in the cornfields, appreciate that connection that exists with nature. Everything that we do, everything we are, is because of the nature that surrounds us. And there is an intimate respect that is developed between the human being and the nature that surrounds them, the nature they work on, the nature they're supposed to look after and steward. Same thing happens in Japan in ways that are exemplary and remind us of what lies ahead. As you know very well, Japan is one of the most beautiful islands in the Pacific. It's a tremendous nation that is confronted by some of the most devastating forces of nature, earthquakes and tsunamis. Ways that nature reminds us all that that coexistence is relying upon this respect and appreciation of the difficulties that being part of a living planet entails, but at the same time the responsibilities we have as we think about how we continue advancing the well-being of the planet. Japan is a nation that 90% of its energy is imported from outside. 90% of its energy is imported from the outside. And because of that, and because of the appreciation of how important energy is, the Japanese culture, that connection to the arts, to the respect for nature, has driven them to focus on energies that predominantly are renewable. You know, nuclear energy has been badmouthed a lot over the years for good reasons. Accidents happen, people die. But it is one of those most important elements of our future, our renewable future. And then is hydrogen, in abundance in nature. Hydrogen, which Japan embraced as yet the other source of renewable energy that will define its future. And by them investing in that will benefit the world. I say all this because these are the elements that come from the Japanese culture that our students, Professor Sato, his teachings, his embracement here now under Jennifer's leadership, remind us all that we are part of nature in ways that empower us to not only be responsible, but appreciate the fact that when it comes to who is in charge, nature is in charge. We should never forget that. And because of that, our appreciation and respect for nature should be modeled on the way Japan and its people over the centuries have embraced their relationship with the world, with nature, through arts, through an appreciation for the beauty that nature makes and inspires in everything we do, from the arts, from dancing, from singing, from performing. So with that in mind, thank you all very much for joining us for this special groundbreaking event of the expansion of our Japan House and all the things that will be made possible because of Japan House. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Dean of our College of Fine and Applied Arts, Professor Kevin Hamilton. Kevin.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the College of Fine and Applied Arts, where we're proud to call Japan House one of our most important units and aspects of our mission, welcome. As the college that's the home of the Marching Illini, welcome to the band as well. We're so glad that you all responded with art to this day. So thank you for setting that example for us. How good it is to be gathered around something that none of us doubts will last. If you were here as a supporter of Japan House, you were here because the traditions that are stewarded here are ones that have proven themselves to you as lasting. We're all looking for things that last these days. My colleagues, President Killeen and Provost Cangellaris, we're trying to find decisions to make that will make sure that what we do today will last us and last this community much longer. That is a challenge. We ask advice, we make judgments, and that is exactly what Professor Sato did many years ago. When looking at what he could contribute here to this community, he founded Japan House and modeled not just teaching and administration for us, but leadership for us. Professor Sato, you chose so well, and you showed us the path to what will last when we invest in an institution like this. You chose the arts, and you chose the traditions and aesthetics of Japan. And so many people here have seen just how much that lasts. All around us is the evidence that that was the right investment to make. I see evidence that that was the right investment to make when I meet alumni all over the world for whom their experience at Japan House was the formative moment of their time as students, and many of you are here. And that was also, I've heard from you, was the formative aspect of your time as students. We need to follow this example of finding what in the world is going to last as we see all these changes around us. We also see examples that Professor Sato chose well in what he invested in and how attractive this vision is. How many people elect and choose to come and take a class at Japan House, who tell their friends to come? How many of you tell your neighbors to come? We need things that are attractive in order to make sure that our investments last. And we need things that last us coming back to them repeatedly. And that's another thing, that's another piece of evidence that Professor Sato chose well in what he invested in here, is that people that come to Japan House and find a home here, then find a lifelong home in these traditions. And the alumni I meet continue to revisit and mine and be expanded by these traditions. It's a beautiful thing to see. And now, as another piece of evidence that Professor Sato chose well in investing in the arts and in these traditions, is that now this amazing new gift that he can make, this new investment that Professor Sato has made, along with George Ogura and Alice Ogura-Sato, now will amplify those investments tenfold. When you plant well, the garden grows, and there's more to tend, and it magnifies and magnifies and magnifies, and it shows us the way of how to build these institutions. So I'm so grateful to you, Professor Sato, for modeling this for us as leaders, modeling for us as teachers, and showing us the way to make sure that all of our investments in this institution last long and last our community well. Thank you so much for this occasion today of giving us a sure future to look to. Thank you.
I thank the president, the provost, and my dean for their support and their leadership for this, not only for this entire university, but for Japan House in particular. Their guidance and their support is immeasurable, and it means the world to us. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Lindsey Stirek, Japan House's first assistant director of academic programming, and she was hired just a year ago this month, I believe, in October. And her position was only made possible, again, by the incredible generosity and vision of Professor Shozo Sato. Lindsey.
I first began as a student here in 2008. At that time, I had no idea that the course of my life was about to be changed forever by a tiny, unassuming place on the outskirts of campus. But Japan House is and always has been a mighty force in a small package. Seeing it today, on the cusp of expansion, charging ever forward with its mission, started decades ago by Professor Emeritus Shozo Sato, is truly incredible, and I am so humbled to be a part of it. It cannot be stated enough that none of this would have been possible without the vision and generosity of Professor Sato. He planted the seed of Japan House, and through his care and attention, it has grown and grown over the years into a tree, branching out in many different directions. My position is one such branch, a direct result of Professor Sato's careful consideration and vision for the future. Through his generosity, Japan House was able to establish a position solely dedicated to academic programming, with an eye towards increasing Japan House's academic offerings, and I am proud to report that this has already borne fruit. In the year since I was hired, we have established a new rubric, Art J, if you're looking, solely dedicated to Japan House courses, and have also expanded our course offerings with the establishment of 6 new courses on a range of topics from manga to Japanese design to tea ceremony. We have also recently created a minor in Japanese arts and aesthetics, the first of its kind in the US, which will be launched next year. Of course, all of this growth in our academic initiatives means that we are in even greater need of more physical space in which to teach. And once again, Professor Sato, along with Alice Ogura-Sato and Dr. George Ogura, has delivered. As we welcome a larger and increasingly diverse student body, this annex will provide the space and accessibility we need to continue to grow our academic offerings and provide students and community members with a unique, immersive environment. Though I doubt the physical structure of Japan House can ever fully reflect its immense impact on each person who walks through its doors, The construction of this annex is the embodiment of Japan House's constant striving to reach more people and the unfailing generosity of its supporters. The Ogura-Sato Annex is a testament to Professor Sato's legacy, and I, for one, very much look forward to seeing how this legacy will continue to unfold in the many years to come.
Thank you, Lindsey. Ms. Brenda Pacey has been a longtime supporter of Japan House and has shared countless hours of volunteering at our many events. She repeatedly asks us, "What more can I do?" And even though she was not a student of Japan House originally, as a member of this community, she has always found deep and significant value in what we do and share for the enrichment of our community and our campus. Her kindness and thoughtful spirit will be shared by Mr. Michael Darin. She's actually on a trip, a family reunion, so she couldn't come today, but she was so devastated that she couldn't come, but Michael will read her words. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Yes, Brenda is a sweet person. I got to know her very well over the last couple of years. I was very honored to read her words. So I'm reading it first person as if it were her. Someone once said that each of us has a unique story to tell and a song to sing. So when Jennifer Sensei asked me to share thoughts on why I am a supporter of Japan House in general and of the new Annex Education Center in particular, two songs came to mind, Sakura, Sakura, and Walt Disney's It's a Small World. My story to tell could be titled 50 Years of Japanese Hospitality on the Illinois Prairie, with a subtitle of One Bowl of Tea, 50 Cherry Blossoms, and more than 1,000 reasons why the University of Illinois outreach mission is essential. The Japan House outreach is essential. My parents grew up in rural central Illinois during the 1930s Depression. They became teachers and spent their long careers serving communities throughout central and northern Illinois, encouraging their students, as well as their own children, to value education and respect. During the 1950s, my family lived in nearby Monticello, where my dad served as the high school principal, and we lived just 2 blocks away from the football track, which is home of the Monticello Marching Sages. I have a vague memory of my mother taking me as a very young child to an international doll exhibit at the University of Illinois YMCA, which might have been my very earliest experience of learning about cultures and countries beyond my own. When my family moved to the western suburbs, I was privileged to participate in American Field Service International High School Student Exchange in 1968. As part of the program, she lived with the Sakurai family in Tokyo, Japan, starting her 50 years journey. She quickly learned that sakura meant cherry blossoms, and she always thinks of the Sakurai family when she thinks of them. Her Japanese parents and family introduced her to things like kimono, tea ceremony, ikebana, shamisen music. They took her to gardens, and they introduced her to Japanese cultural and arts, which instilled in her the importance of honoring cultural differences and a need to come together in a place to communicate as individual and as a society. In 1969, I enrolled as a freshman at the University of Illinois, and she could not claim to be one of the participants at the iconic 1969 show where Sensei debuted his kabuki performance, but she says that she was there in 1970 at the full capacity show, and she wants to know from Sensei if that gives her groupie status. She's not sure, but she hopes that she is a groupie. She says that year she learned a lot about how the College of Fine and Applied Arts and Shozo Sato came together as a visiting artist, and that she realized that this was nowhere in the area, that you would normally have to go to a big city to find what she was experiencing here. In '75, Shozo cobbled together the first Japan House, and it was his efforts that made these experiences so possible through this authentic setting that she was experiencing. So fast forward to the 1990s, where she heard of a new Japan House under the direction of Kimiko Gunji, who brought the vision to the next step with her trademark grace and determined perseverance. Over the next 20 years, Japan House has become a community which has expanded their audience beyond the campus boundaries, and they have enriched scholarship efforts, and they've grown beyond campus as well. She says that she loves bringing students here and hearing things like, my son brought me to Japan House as part of U of I weekend, or I was able to have a bowl of tea there. And she said most recently, her joy has been sharing the Japan House shares links to all of her family around the world to see the students and the staff and what we've been up to here at Japan House. Her story is one of many that have been touched by the coming together of Japan House. Each of the stories is like folding a paper crane in hope and celebration. The Annex project focuses on providing expanded access to even more people of all ages, races, genders, religion, nationalities, and to all people of all physical abilities. The U of I has been a world leader in physical accessibility in higher education, and the Japan House Annex will set a high standards for commitment to applying universal design to its facility. The Ogura-Sato Japan House Annex will be open to everyone to come together for a bowl of tea, to come together in honor of cultural differences, to come together to enjoy sakura, the cherry blossoms, and to come together on the Illinois prairie to appreciate the significance of making 1,000 origami cranes for peace. Arigato no kokoro. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next is Mr. Ronnie Midya. He is an alumnus of my Campus Honors Chado, the Way of Tea class from 2019. And since that time, Ronnie has volunteered for almost every event that we've had. And not only that, he is our #1 attendee for our events, both in person and online. So now he is a graduate student of the Geese College of Business, and Ronnie has since joined our community tea group, and also has generously become a monthly supporter of Japan House. His charisma and enthusiasm for Japan House is infectious, and we often state that Ronnie is our Japan House ambassador. Please welcome Ronnie.
I'm Ronnie Midya, and as you heard, those of us who took Chado, the Way of Tea, refer to ourselves as Chado alumni, as this Japan House class was truly one of a kind. Whether we were drinking a bowl of tea, discussing philosophy, or making wagashi desserts, we learned how to find joy in the simple things in life. It is the one University of Illinois class where we actually learned how to be happy. After taking Japan House classes, many of us stayed involved with the organization. I myself volunteered at the Matsuri and worked as a kimono model at Girls' Day, Hina Matsuri, in March 2020. Little did we know we would enter lockdown less than 2 weeks later. Japan House, though, persevered, hosting top-notch online programming for the community and campus alike. And as we hopefully near the end of the brutal pandemic, we mark another milestone today, the groundbreaking of the Japan House Annex. This expansion of Japan House will allow for the organization to do more for the campus and the Shambana community. While this is not the Siebel Center or the new ECE building, Japan House is a worthy organization whose funding is essential to the cultural well-being of the campus and community. It is a place that nourishes our minds, hearts, and spirit. Japan House is a place that teaches us to be better in our day-to-day lives, to be better engineers, better business people, writers, and thinkers. In an anxious world of increasing polarization and distrust, we really need more places like Japan House to promote tranquility, joy, and unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you so much. I am now deeply humbled and honored to introduce now the reason why we have all come together today. I will say, originally it was Mr. Nick Offerman, alumnus of Japan House, former and forever student of Sensei's, and generous supporter of Japan House. He was scheduled to be here to introduce Sensei, but due to a family emergency, he was unable to join us at the last minute, though he shared these words in an email to us. He said, "I am sitting here in tears to have to tell you that I cannot come today. Someone in my household is having an extreme medical crisis, which I need to be present for. For obvious reasons, I was extremely excited for Sunday, and I'm sick to my stomach that I cannot make it. He says, Sensei, thank you again for everything that you have taught me thus far. And I'm so sorry to let you all down. As you know, I admire you powerfully. Nick was a student of Sensei's in the 90s and has on numerous occasions stated that Sensei changed the trajectory of his life. In the past 10 years, Nick has made significant contributions to Japan House to honor Sensei, starting with an azumaya that he built in California and then rebuilt on our grounds by the ponds. He's done numerous shows for our community and our campus to support Japan House, and he has made many, many appearances for special events at Japan House. This is the kind of effect that a remarkable teacher, caring mentor, and dedicated sensei can have. I believe that's why I'm standing here today. As another lifelong student of Sensei's, I have had the privilege to learn under Sensei, and I strive endlessly to uphold his legacy through my efforts at Japan House. Professor Shozo Sato's determined vision to share Japanese arts and culture in the middle of the cornfields began in the 60s, and his unwavering efforts guided him on how he taught countless students not only to embrace Japanese culture and artistic practices, but to live by these philosophies and to share sensitivity to all people. The Ogura-Sato Annex is a true continuance of his incomparable legacy. The annex showcases that his 50-plus years of teaching and sharing of Japanese arts and culture has impacted not only this campus, but has been fully embraced by this wonderful community. With the generosity of many individuals and many of you who are here today, it is Professor Shozo Sato and his late wife Alice Sato and her brother Dr. George Ogura who have made this dream become a reality. I have a picture of George and Alice there. But please help me in welcoming Professor Shozo Sato.
My motto is art is its culture's crystallization. Any culture have its own culture and then its crystallization as art. And through art, we can communicate and seek for the peace. During 1963, long time ago, late Margaret Ehringer, she was a director of a dance department, and she received Fulbright scholarship to study and do the research on Japanese artists, why they do practice multiple activities rather than just one thing as common in the Western world. So for that reason, she was doing all sort of research. And in Tokyo, and she heard there is a guy named Shozo Sato in Kamakura running small private art school, and he teaching all traditional Japanese art. Thus, she started visiting me for 2 weeks every day from Tokyo, taking notes. And then, on the way out, she said, I'm returning to University of Illinois soon. If there is any invitation from university as a visiting artist to show what you do in your classrooms, I said, that's more than I can ask. Great honor. Thus, I end up coming happily in the midst of cornfield in 1964. And since then, I have taught kabuki and black ink painting and choreography, tea ceremony, and flower arrangement, which I've been teaching in Japan for years. During those days, late 1960s, as you may recall, those days was Vietnam War going on, and many students reacted to that war, seek for the peace. So they started canceling the classes, etc., etc. I'm sure you remember those days. But they're allowed to come to my class. They're all gated at the art department buildings, and then they don't let any student come in. But if they say, I'm going to show those choreography class, and then they let them in. Only class in the whole university that my class was going on during those days. So we wrote Chinese ideogram of the peace and then symbol of the peace. And then every day they go out to the campus and stick everywhere in the building, and then park, etc., etc. And then after that, because I'm doing a lot of sort of demonstration in the unions and fraternities about Japanese art, they start raising the voice. We want to have your classes, as an academic classes. So they approached to university, and then with the university's permission, the traditional Japanese art workshops was established within art department. During those days, we just call art department. So that was a long time ago. However, of course, art department professors have no idea what the tea ceremony about. So they gave me the classroom, the oil painting classroom. And unfinished oil painting hanging everywhere. The floor is a big mess. And then I start preaching about purity, tranquility, etc., etc. Seems it doesn't work very well. So I quickly converted my rented townhouse in Almond Street to Japanese-style room, and then eventually become very popular 4-semester waiting list. And so my bedrooms, my dining rooms, my study become classroom. Then I was sleeping in a basement next to sub pump. One day I was invited to attend KO and the University of Illinois exchange program. And there a gentleman come to talk to me. Are you the Shozo? Yes, sir. How are you doing? Well, I'm not able to sleep very well. Why is that? So I explained the situation. Oh, that's not good. We should have a more space for you. So he found the original Japan House building for me. But that was purely rental agreement. So I have to pay $500 a month for 10 years. And then, of course, with my own hand, show the screens and all those decor of traditional Japanese style was done in 2 years of summer and winter break with assistant of Jim West, my assistant at that time. And he's now teaching in Japan for past 30 years. So then the old traditional Japan house established and then run for until 98. Then Alice Campbell Alumni Association building to be built. So we were asked to move. And by that time, I was already retired. But Professor Kimiko Gunji took over and then raised the fund to build present Japan House. And of course, many people did help to make that possible. And then now we have a next step for next centuries to come, hopefully, to promote and better understanding between different nations, different culture through art. And finally, this opportunity have come. I've been waiting for all these years. And then I know not only our families, but many people within here have donated great fund and effort. And with your kindness, this future annex going to be built and then open to general public and the students. And thank you so much for all your kind support to Japan House. I started just a little small class, but now grew to be a department of Japan House with Director Jennifer Gunji Sensei, and she's powerful guidance. Japan House keep moving on for future. Jennifer Sensei, thank you. And the President, Chancellor, and Provost, thank you so much.
So now we're really going to officially break the ground. This doesn't mean this is where the Japan House the annex will be, but we are breaking ground. I said, no matter what, I am putting a shovel in the dirt, and we're breaking ground today. So. So now we are going to be passing out some triptych sake seltzer. It is called kansha, which translates very appropriately to the word gratitude. And it was our friends at Triptych who have brewed and developed this canned it, this lovely hard seltzer made out of nigori sake. And we would like to do a Kampai Toast with all of you. So they're going to come around. I know it's going to be a little bit awkward, but we hope that you'll be able to get a glass. And we're going to raise our glasses to not only Professor Sato, to Alice and George, and to this incredible and momentous occasion of the Ogura-Sato Annex. One thing that you should know about Japan House is that we do like our sake. And so this is really wonderful that Triptych did this for us. And if you like it, please head over to Triptych. The cans are very cute. They all have the cat of happiness on it. And we encourage you to purchase and support Triptych. They're a wonderful community supporter, and they've been such good friends of Japan House for the last 5 years. We're almost past around. It's kind of going slow, but I feel like I need to hurry everybody up and raise their glasses. Almost there, getting there. Looks pretty good, almost. So originally, I had all these chairs really spread out because I didn't think that many people were coming. And all of a sudden, now we have over 100 people here. So it got a little bit tight, so I apologize for that. But minasan, everybody, if you could raise your glass and say, Kampai. Kampai, Kampai.
no sansa wa dere koren. Hare no sansa mo dere koren.
I feel like Japan House can't have an event without Hoetsu Taiko and their powerful, powerful energy that they share with us, their heart, their spirit, their gusto that they give us energy. And I think they're going to do one last piece for us, so thank you so much.
This last piece requires your participation. Yes? Sure. Yeah, okay. So for this last piece, we are going to play for you something called Yoroshiku. Some of you might know Yoroshiku Onegaishimasu. This usually is said at the beginning of things, when we meet somebody new, at the beginning of practice, at the beginning of a meeting. But we like to end with Yoroshiku because it's almost like a promise for holding ourselves together in community, holding ourselves accountable for the future. And we thought this was a pretty appropriate situation where we are celebrating the beginning of something new. So, the words are Yoroshiku onegaishimasu, which I'm sure many of you know, and if you don't, just follow along. It'll be very simple. I'm going to sing a line, and you all are going to repeat after me. The singing part will start first, then we're going to do some drum stuff, and then we're going to go back to singing and end with all of us singing together. Repeat after me. You can't mess up. Ready? Yep. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Hi! Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Sore! Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Hey! Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Thank you. This is Hoetsu Taiko. Again, girl power. Yay, yay. Thank you. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us for this wonderful, wonderful occasion. It fills my heart. I think we talk a lot about tranquility and peace and such, but I think the Japan House is filled with an energy and a will to want to share and to give and to bring joy to everyone that comes to Japan House. And that was inspired by Professor Sato's legacy. And I hope that you will continue to believe in us and support us into the future until the real annex is actually built and we open our doors to all of you. I thank the President and the Provost and Dean Hamilton so much for coming today. And of course, I have to thank my incredible team, which I cannot do anything without my team. My team is absolutely outstanding. And my interns, my lovely interns, are all kind of over there, but all of their efforts and their heart, their genuine heart that they share. Also, we had so many volunteers come out today. Many of them were from APO, and I have Becky to thank for that, who introduced me to APO many years ago. And so many of those students came and celebrated with us and helped us today. Marching Sages, wow, you guys are great. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, thank you. And last but not least, Sensei, arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you so, so much. So if the spirit moves you, we will encourage you to steal a crane. So there's many cranes on the trees, and they're just wrapped with a little piece of wire, but you're welcome to them, and put them in your homes, and remember arigato no kokoro, and make that your theme for the rest of the year too. So thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it very much. We're so grateful for all of you. Thank you.